Hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes and I'm your host. I'm back again with Shawna Murphy and Jacqueline Wilson of StyleSmart VA from Fort Worth, Texas. Shawna and Jacqueline, would you introduce yourself for anybody who did not see the first episode?
Yes, so I'm Shawna and this is Jackie, and we are team stylists behind the chair, and we also run StyleSmart VA. But we're going to talk about our chair and beyond, which is our behind the chair business, and how we run it, how we give our clients a very unique experience.
And so I think that a lot of people have the ability to work with somebody, but sometimes often they don't know how. And so we've been able to discover a way of working as a team, and it works well for us and for our clients.
All right, cool. So why don't you give us a little bit of, just to refresh anybody's memory who saw it, and for anybody who didn't see it. So Shawna and Jackie, they worked together in a commission-based salon, and then the pandemic came and some opportunities opened up and they went independent together. And when they say, they use the term four heads in the hair, and I really would like to know for you to expand on that.
So what we do is, first of all our clients, as everybody should, get a consultation before we begin. And so you have two stylists that really help understand your vision for your hair, your needs for your hair, and what fits your lifestyle. And so we give our clients a consultation every visit, no matter how long they've been with us. Some of our clients have been with us for 5 years, and we still give them that consultation because that gives us the ability to let them speak up for something that they may want to try, and for us to also give them an idea of something different that we can do with their hair. And so what we do is Shawna works on the back of the head and I work on the front of the head. And so you get four hands in hair all the time. And we have clients that have crazy amounts of hair that are used to sitting in the salon for 6 hours at a time, right? To have a transformative look. And that cuts down the time. It cuts down the application time on what your foil work or your color application looks like, and the integrity of the hair. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we see with our clients is we want to preserve the integrity of the hair always. And so all our clients get the four hands in hair experience. We give them the Beyonce blowout and they love it. They've kind of gotten used to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And our clients brag to their friends about it. They're like, well, I have two hairdressers that work on me, And so we love being able to create that experience for our clients, but not only does it give us the ability to give them all those things, but it also gives us the ability to book a little bit tighter. It gives us the ability to make a little bit more money, to really give them that top-notch experience, because we both are able to really implement what needs to be implemented and creating the hair of their dreams.
And
All
so,
right.
oh, go ahead. No, you go.
No, go ahead.
So me and Jackie actually worked separately for about 6 months, 5 months, something like that. And we were doing fine. We both do good hair, and we just were like, we can bring in more clients a day if we book together. And so we share our book of clients. No client is hers and no client is mine. They are our clients. They're chair and beyonds. And we book on the hour. So we see a new client regardless of service every hour. Whether it's a full highlight, whether it's extensions, a haircut, a new client every hour. So on average, we see, we don't have a ton of just haircut clients. So we see about 10 to 12, sometimes 14, 15 clients a day.
Nice.
And we only work 3 days a week. We work Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Nice. So the first question that pops in my mind, how do you do a haircut? Tell us about that.
So one of us does the haircut. We don't do two people cutting the hair.
So all right. I don't know. I just asked.
So most of the time when we're booking, because we do book on the hour, let's say we have a client that's coming in for a full highlight, we'll do their full highlight, and then we have our next client coming in. Usually what happens is that full highlight client is now getting their glaze or their toner out,
or processing
something where their needs are being met by somebody, and then somebody else is over here doing the haircut. So not two people are doing the haircut.
Yeah.
But let's say if we have 3 to 4 clients in our salon at one time, whoever is needing the next service, there's always one of us available to do their service. And so Shawna and I, because Shawna worked as an apprentice with me for 6 months, she learned the way that I do things, and creatively, I kind of am more so the lead. She is very much the lead of our business and the way that we do things that way. And so she was trained with me, and we know how we've been able to do things very cohesively. And so once our clients have come into our space and have experienced it, they know that they're going to get great service no matter whose hands are in their hair.
Now look, I don't do all things. I don't do pixie cuts. I don't love them. I would rather punch myself in the face than do a pixie cut. So if it's a pixie cut, Jackie will take care of it.
And we don't do like a ton of super short pixie cuts, but our clients that we do have for pixies, I really do enjoy servicing them.
Yes. And so that's kind of where like Jackie is she's the creative director of our company. I am the director of operations. And that's okay. Look, I don't have to cut everybody's hair, And so I think that when you work as a team, you have to identify the strengths and the weaknesses of each party, and you have to openly communicate with each other. Because there are sometimes, like there was a client where Jackie was like, let's do this. And I was like, friend, that is not what that lady is asking for. And so, you have that open line of communication, and the strengths and the weaknesses of each other, and you step up where the other person is weak, and you lift up the other person where they're strong.
Yeah. And, another thing that we do is where the consultation really comes into play is we create a game plan for every client. So that way, Shawna and I are very much on the same page as to what foil application are we going to do? What pattern are we going to do? How much impact do we want to see? All the things that create hair. Right? So there's so many moving parts, so many elements that create the finished look. We know, listen, sometimes the application looks a little ugly, but the end result is beautiful. And so we come up with a game plan for every client. We know, okay, this is how much impact we're trying to see. This is the pattern. This is the direction. This is the weave, the slice, the tease, all of that. We talk about what color we are going to put on the head and why. I think that that's where a lot of people kind of shoot themselves in the foot, is they don't understand the why behind what they're doing. And so we really try to understand why we are doing the things that we're doing, so that we can work with intention, so that we can continue to see clients every hour. Because the better and clearer of a game plan that you have as a team, the smoother the application goes.
And we actually hired a marketing company to create a consultation form we created it. They just designed our vision, and it's very specific. What is the client's goal? It's got a head form. We can draw on it to show where do we want the depth to live? Where do we want to see the brightness? And what was the formula? So that the next time that client comes, all we have to do is pull out their consultation form. We know what their formula was. We know what their expectations were. And now we can expand on that. Are you still loving your hair? Do you want to see anything different? This is what we did last time, so that you have cohesion through every appointment that the client comes to.
So I think this is, you guys are making me think of, y'all sound so mature and such adults.
Thank you.
I don't know that many hairdressers who can be like, okay, I'm not good at this, but I'm good at this. And then the other person accept that, and then say, I'm not good at this and you're not good at this. It's pretty magical, I think, what you guys have been able to put together. And I feel like it would be cool to see a day in the life. I mean, it could be staged, but I don't know if you have something like that. Because I also think it'd be a great training model to see how you work through all that stuff and the step by step, and how you make your decisions on, so it's not just it's like technical education, but it's also communication, it's and then also the operational side of putting those notes down and keeping them. I think most hairdressers I know have the intention to take a lot of notes, but realize that they have a memory of an elephant, which is also crazy, but
Yes.
the memory isn't really like able to quite keep exactly where your placement was, and that's so. Anyway, that sounds.
I mean, and we see close to 100 clients a month, and so how would we remember it if we didn't write it down?
Yeah,
Right,
and I'm super thankful for our clientele that truly gives us a lot of creative freedom with them. And so we get to do some really cool stuff with our clients. We get to really take the reign on what we're creating. And so because we're able to do more creative or do something a little bit different with our clients, that really helps. Creating that game plan really helps us understand where we could possibly change things in the future if it didn't work out for that client and their lifestyle, or just their love, if they didn't love their hair. Because we had a client one time, and she's one of our favorite clients. We did an application on her, and we did more of a lived in color because that's what we do. And she loves to see the real strong ribbons. And we did a soft lived in ribbon look, right? And we were like, oh my gosh, her hair was perfection. We loved it. And the next time she came in, she was like, I hated it, And so we knew, okay, that's just not where she's going to live. And that's okay. And so now here's how we change it. And here's how we make it to cater for what she loves to see in her own hair. Right. And, she had a wedding, her son's wedding coming up, and she loved her hair after we did it, but it was something, had we not game planned for her previous, we wouldn't have known that she's not a fan of lived in color. She wants to see the high definition in her hair. And so I think that, I think where people fail is, first of all, there's room at the top for everybody. There's room at the top for everybody to succeed. There's plenty of heads in this world for us to be able to service. And if Shawna is successful, then I'm successful. And we've been able to really have, can I tell you, this is my work wife, and there's hard conversation that happens at times. And there's times that, she pushes me in ways that sometimes makes me a little uncomfortable, but I know that it helps me grow. And so you have to be willing to identify and really understand yourself, but also know that whatever move you make has to also be in benefit to whoever you're working with. If you're a salon owner and you have a team, every move you make has to be able to positively impact your team, because there's room at the top for everybody. And if your team is successful, then you're successful. And I think that that's where a lot of people have an issue, is there's room at the top. And you have to be willing to help people and raise people up in order to help elevate everybody.
Yeah, it's not always like rainbows and butterflies. It's not always great. Sometimes we have to have really hard conversation. But I think the key is finding somebody who can humble themselves to have those conversations, because those are not easy conversations to always have. We've had our fair share of really difficult conversations, or looking back at certain things where we're like, what did we do? Like, that was a terrible decision.
Yeah.
But if you can course correct from those bad decisions and have open communication, team styling can be very effective for your clientele and for your bank account.
Yeah.
Do you have any tactics or advice for people who need to have tough conversations?
I think, Shawna and I, we are able to communicate very effectively in the same way. She's a very factual person. She's just going to tell it as it is. And I know that Shawna will never tell me something as it is in order to hurt somebody, right? She's a very factual person, and it is what it is. And I'm a little bit more of an emotional person. I'm like, oh gosh, And so, understanding your partner's style of communication, and also understanding the way that people receive things. We've been really big on understanding each other's ability to receive. Mm-hmm. And I know that if I come to Shawna crying and, oh gosh, I know that that's not necessarily the way that she receives communication. And so I'm going to try and be very factual about the things that maybe are causing an issue, or maybe we're feeling like disconnected in, because I know that that's how she understands things. Mm-hmm. And so really understanding how to communicate is, effective communication is a very hard thing to learn. Mm-hmm. And if you can start learning effective communication early on in your career, not only does that help you with the relationships that you build in your business, but also with your clients, you know, understanding how you can communicate. Listen, a client may be like, I want to be a fire red engine hair, but I only want to come in twice a year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't have that.
Yeah.
But understand how to communicate with your clients. And so I think really it comes down to learning how to effectively communicate.
And it not just communicate, but receive communication, right? So I don't know if you know anything about the Enneagram. I am an Enneagram 8. So I am the challenger. And so I appreciate when people speak up and I receive it well, but I'm also an Enneagram 8. So sometimes my little soft, squishy center, which is rarely seen, can get hurt. But I also am like, Jackie would never say something to me if it didn't need to be said, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to understand yourself and you have to be willing to listen to what other people say without it being a personal attack.
Well, tell me about the Enneagram.
I'll let Jackie talk about it. She loves the Enneagram.
So my wife is really big into that, and she's always sending me quotes from it. So
what is your Enneagram?
Yeah, what is your Enneagram?
I'm a 3. I don't even know what that means.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So
I should probably look into that more. Maybe that'll help me identify.
You should. So with our business, we do like educate and coach other stylists, and we always have them take the Enneagram before we take them on, because it helps us understand their personality type, and it helps us understand how to better communicate with them. So the Enneagram, what it is, it's a number system. It's a personality type test. You have your core number, and then you have your wing number, which is a number adjacent to your core number. Okay. And so your core number is why you do the things that you do. So what is your driving force, right? And then your wing number is how you do the things that you do. So how do you put those things and apply them in your everyday life? And so Shawna is an 8 wing 9, and I am a 9 wing 8. So we are the same, but opposite,
very different,
you know? And so where we're very opposite, we're night and day opposite. But where we are similar, we're very similar. And so I think that also has helped us grow very effectively, and it has helped us grow very rapidly in our business because we're able to really communicate effectively. But listen, if you haven't taken the Enneagram exam, you should do it, because it helps you understand yourself. It helps you understand how you behave and what you do when you're in a healthy environment and when you're stressed, when you're in an unhealthy environment. And so I know for myself, when I'm in a healthy environment, I become more of an achiever. I like to do things and check things off and get stuff done. And then when I'm unhealthy, I become very slothish. I'm like, nothing needs to be done today. I'm so like, I just want to be in my cocoon. Right. And so I've been able to identify those things in myself because I've learned what I do and don't do in unhealthy and in healthy environments.
And as her business partner, I also know what that looks like. So I know when she's stressed out, and I know when I need to be like, listen, friend, it's time to get it together. Like, I know when that comes, and vice versa. So like when I'm stressed, I get very analytical and very quiet. I have nothing to say to nobody. And I also am aware when I know when I'm moving into like that stressed out. And so when you work with somebody, to understand that is very important. And if you want to team style with somebody, I highly suggest understanding their personality and their personality traits, and how do they act when they're stressed out, and who are they when they're not stressed out and when they're thriving. Because you have to put, like, if you're working with somebody and you guys are working on building something, you have to be willing to push them. You have to be willing to be like, listen, you can't be a slug. You have to get off your butt and do it. Because that's why you have a business partner, is to push each other so that you guys can grow and build what you want to build.
Yeah. Well, I also think this would be very useful in a bigger team setting, like people being able to understand how to communicate because like hairdresser, I've never worked in a salon where everybody like gets along all the time, you know. But a lot of times it's a lot of passive aggressiveness. That's generally the hairdresser way, it seems like. And I think that'd be cool to see something like this in the team setting as well. So I'm gonna put. What's that?
I said that will make a healthier team. Like, you can't have unhealthy team and grow.
I mean, if you two are able to work in as tight a quarters as you are and have the type of communication that you're saying you do, and this is the foundation of that making that work. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like trust. It also sounds like the other thing, the unspoken thing there. It sounds like you trust each other to have each other's best interest at heart. So between trust and then the enneagram exam, which I'm going to put a link in the comments so people can go to that and discover that, and they can take their exam. And if y'all want to, if anybody wants to get, hire Shawna and Jackie to, help you all work through that, I'm assuming that's what you were saying. You help teams with communication. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So what we do is we provide coaching for stylists in really every sense of what business behind the chair looks like, as far as client communications, team building, business building, creative building, all of that.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So it's a whole suite of help. Okay, cool. Well, this is, I think this is very helpful. And it's really cool to hear how you all work together. I still think you should film like a day in the life of how that communicates. I would love to see that. And it doesn't have to be long, but I would love to hear a real life communication and where you guys are kind of going back and forth, not the we agree thing, on the more like how you work through those challenges, because hard conversations are hard. And
and I think people easily stray away from hard conversation, and that's where, like you said, a lot of our industry sees that passive aggressiveness, and having open line of communication and knowing that whatever is said is going to be in order to get past the problem, because it's you and your team member against the problem, not you against each other. And I think that's, it's super important for people to see it that way, because we've worked with other team members, and you work in a salon with other team members. And like you said, not everybody gets along all the time, and that's okay. But as long as, there's an understanding that this problem lives here and the team lives here, and it's you against the problem rather than you against you, right? And so, I know that you said you feel like we're very mature for our age at times, and listen, we can act real crazy sometimes. But I think that just understanding yourself, understanding how to communicate, understanding that at the end of the day, you want to win. You want to be able to move forward and elevate your client's experience and elevate your business as a whole. I think that's really where it all kind of lives, is really understanding and trusting each other that we're moving forward, not backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And so I imagine your StyleSmart virtual assistant takes a burden off you, so you can focus more on that communication. Yeah. And for any viewers or listeners who don't want to know more about a virtual assistant, essentially you're putting an actual person in between you and the customer, and they get to take care of all that booking and cancellation policies. If you want to know more, go back and watch the episode on StyleSmart. And if you want to know even more, feel free to reach out to Shawna and Jackie. And if you want to know more about their coaching, you can also reach out to them. I'll include all the necessary links in the comments, so you don't have to go and search for them yourself. So is there any last pieces of advice or tip or opinions or anything you want to share before we sign off?
I think one of the reasons why we are very successful is because we're willing to do the work. Like, you have to be willing to do the work. You can't grow in 6 months and expect it to come to you. You have to do the work. We love Grant Cardone. We love Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know who he is, but he is like Mr. 10X. And we love like reading his books and listening to his podcast, because if you want to get something done, you have to work 10 times harder than anyone else. And so if you want to go independent and be your own boss, like, you need to work 10 times harder than you would if you were working for somebody else. Like, you have to do it with everything in you, and you can't be like, I'm doing it and I'm doing great, but like not actually putting in the work. And so, you know, if you want to be successful someday, you have to work. You have to do it. You can't just expect it to happen. Yeah, that's my
Gotcha. That's good. That's good. And I like to end with a laugh by asking my guests for their most embarrassing moment behind the chair as it pertains to the job. Did you all have one that you'd like to share?
I think I know a good one. So a couple weeks ago, we had a client who we had quite a few clients in our salon at the time, and we were doing a color application, and we accidentally mixed up our color. So our root color went on the ends, and the ends went on the roots. Well, but listen, friend, it's a team effort. And so our colors got mixed up, and that client was about to be way darker than she anticipated. And, you know, thankfully, Shawna is a great problem solver, and we were able to get that client looking good, and she loved her hair. And she actually just came back for her appointment and talked about how much she loved her hair. And so, you know, sometimes you have that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? What just happened?
And then you're like, oh gosh, there's 4 clients in here. Like, I don't have the time to fix this.
But you problem solve, you know, and you figure it out, and you're going to do as a hairstylist and as a creative person, you're going to do your best to really give them what they're looking for. But there's times that the ball is dropped, and that's okay, you know?
Yeah. So did you all have to, did you have to own it in front of all those clients, or were you able to do a shampoo bowl fix?
We did a shampoo bowl on it. So I realized, so I did the right color, like on this side, and then right here, right in the front is where I kind of screwed things up. And so I realized it. And so in my head, I was like, ooh, this is not a good situation. And I was like, okay, but here's the thing. You have another client coming in like 20 minutes. You do not have time to go rinse this out right now and start reapplying. So I switched back to what I should have been doing. I took her to the bowl. I soap capped her, flash washed it at the bowl, toned her for 5 minutes, and it was fine. Like, nice. You know, sometimes I was like, if I freak out right now and I stop Jackie, like, we're going to be so far behind. I was like, or I can fix it. And I didn't even tell Jackie what happened until the end of the day.
She was like, so here's what happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was so funny. But you know, those are things that, can I tell you, now we're like extra cautious. We're like, okay, these are the bowls that have this color. We label them.
Yeah.
We do specific like brushes in them, you know. And so not only did that, you know, hiccup help us learn how to problem solve effectively, but now it's helped us game plan more effectively as well.
Totally. Yeah, totally. That's awesome. That's so good. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. And I hope to have you all on again in the future.
Thank you.
We love it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.